now we'll continue with theory and basis of taxation. So ano ba itong theory and basis of taxation? So ito yung basihan, no? Bakit merong taxation power. So let's start with, actually this is not the first theory. Let's start with the basic, no? Lifeblood theory. So from the term lifeblood, so parang it means na para siyang part ng ng system of government, or the government para siyang 'di ba, the government cannot survive kasi nga life eh. So yung buhay ng government cannot survive no without taxation. Parang ganun yung principle ng lifeblood theory. So based on this case of Commissioner versus Alge, the Supreme Court said that taxes are the lifeblood of the government and should be collected without unnecessary hindrance. Kaya nga in our previous discussion, di ba sabi natin doon, merong principle doon na non-infringement or non-interference of courts, di ba? So, hindi pwedeng i-interfere yung collection of taxes because that is the lifeblood of the government. So, hindi pwedeng i-stay or i-postpone yung collection ng taxes. They are what we pay for a civilized society. So, it is a price daw. A price for civilization. So, kung walang taxes, we cannot construct bridges, we cannot construct roads, buildings, hospitals, schools, kung walang taxes. Without taxes, the government would be paralyzed for the lack of motive power to activate and operate. The government, for its part, is expected to respond in the form of tangible and intangible benefits intended to improve the lives of the people and enhance their moral and material values. Maraming mga comments no sa bar examination na yung taxation daw yung pinakamahirap, isa sa pinakamahirap na subjects in the bar exams. Siguro because of the technical terms, no? Yung mga terms na ginagamit natin dito. Pero, if you think about it, basic lang naman yung concept ng taxation. Imagine, in a certain organization, like sa school for example, kailangan ng school ng money in the form of tuition fees para maka-operate siya, di ba? It cannot survive or it cannot pay for its expenses, for the operating expenses of the school without tuition fees from the students. Kasi yung school, sila yung nagbabayad ng teachers, kuryente, tubig, and other mga amenities, miscellaneous, di ba? In order to maintain and keep the school running. So that is true with the government, no? The government needs money in order to operate. So otherwise, our government will be having difficulty, no, operating or parang giving services to the people. So walang mabigay na services kung hindi tayo mangongolekta ng taxes. Ganun lang naman yung concept ng taxation. So basically, now let's go to necessity theory. Sabi dito, taxation emanates from necessity. It is a necessary burden. Kinakailangan siya na burden to preserve the state's sovereignty. So before I continue reading the meaning of necessity theory, let's go back to the criteria of statehood in international law. So hinanap ko lang to, no? Ano ba yung qualifications natin for a certain territory para maging state siya. So, number one, it must have a permanent population. Second, a defined territory. Third, it must have a functioning government. And lastly, it must have the capacity to enter into relations with other states. So if a certain territory has a permanent population, a defined territory, meron siyang metes and bounds, pero wala siyang functioning government, then hindi natin siya matatawag na fully as a state. So in order to maintain our statehood, kailangan natin ng functioning government, no? A government that operates, no? So that is the basis of taxation. It is a necessary burden, no? It is a necessity in order to preserve our sovereignty. Otherwise, kung wala tayong pera, might as well i-conquer tayo ng ibang bansa in order to support us, di ba? So, kung meron tayong pera, we can be independent, no, from other states. So, yun siya. And so that means, no, giving us the citizenry, giving the citizenry rather, an army to resist an aggression, a navy to defend its shores from invasion. So this is territorial integrity, no? To preserve the territorial integrity of the state. Kailangan natin ng army, navy, a corps of civil servants to serve, public improvements designed for the enjoyment of citizenry, and those which come within the state's territory, and facilities and protection which a government is supposed to provide. So, next theory is benefits received principle. Here, taxpayers receive benefits from taxes through the protection the state affords to them. For the protection they get arises their obligation to support the government through payment of taxes. So, for example, yung ating national security, like yung ating mga military against foreign invasion, yung peace and order within or internal peace and order ng ating bansa, no? It is maintained, no, by our by the PNP, no, and other law enforcement agencies. Ano pa? Free education, no? So free hospitalization, medical benefits, social services. Because we receive benefits, no, from the government, it is just and right, no, for the taxpayers or for the citizens to pay or to contribute, no, to this to the expenses that will be incurred in giving by the government, no, in providing us services and benefits. So yan ang ibig sabihin ng benefits received principle. Another principle or theory or basis of taxation is mutual benefit theory or symbiotic relationship. Parang give and take, no? Taxation arises because of the reciprocal relation of protection and support between the state and taxpayers. The state gives protection, and for it to continue giving protection, it must be supported by the taxpayers in the form of taxes. So sa madaling salita, parang amot lang, di ba? Contribution. Nagko-contribute tayo sa government para kung ano yung pera na makolekta nila, gagamitin nila in order to provide us protection and basic services. Now let's go to the nature of taxation power. Three basic nature of taxation power. Number one, it is an inherent power of sovereignty. When we say inherent power, there is no need for a constitutional grant in order for a state to exercise such power. Sabi natin in our previous meeting, upon existence of the state, nag-exist din yung power niya of taxation. There is no need for a positive act, a conferment whatsoever. So dahil na-comply natin yung qualifications for a state, therefore automatic, parang ano ba, parang ang tawag ko dyan, Kalimot ko sa kung term, no? Parang pag anak nimo naa na siya ba? Mura siya ila, no? Mura siya ila nimo nga nakadikit na sa imuha. So that's inherent power, no? Then second nature of taxation power is it is essentially a legislative function. So we have three branches of the government, no? We have the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. So yung taxation power, it is exercised by the legislative department. So when we say legislative department sa national, we are referring to the Congress, no? The Senate and the House of Representatives. So hindi pwede yung president ang magpasa ng batas in order to impose taxes because that is not within the president's power to exercise because the president is under the executive department. So, ang may power to exercise taxation is yung Congress tsaka ay yung Congress, no? Which means the House of Representatives and the Senate. So when we say essentially a legislative function, generally, the power of taxation cannot be delegated. So hindi siya pwedeng i-delegate. No? However, dahil sabi ko generally, meron niyang mga exceptions to the rule. Kasi nga generally, di ba? So what are the exceptions to the rule? Take note. Kasi wala yan sa screen, ha? Number 1. Wait. Okay, number 1. The delegation of the power to tax is allowed in the following cases. Number 1, to local governments, no, in respect of matters of local concern to be exercised by the local legislative bodies thereof. So, remember, under the Constitution, no, particularly Section 5, Article 10 of the 1987 Constitution, nakalagay doon, no, the Constitution grants the local government units the power to raise their own sources of revenue. So, in short, meron siyang power of taxation. However, that power of taxation of the local government is a delegated power. Hindi siya inherent, ha? It is not an inherent power. It is a mere delegated power under the Constitution. Second is when allowed by the Constitution. Let me give you an example. The Congress may by law authorize the President to fix within specified limits and subject to such limitations and restrictions as it may impose tariff rates, import and export quotas, tonnage and wharfage dues, and other duties and imposts within the framework of the National Development Program of the government. This is expressly provided under Section 28, Paragraph 2, Article 6 of the 1987 Constitution. So, kumbaga, delegation to the President, no? Because there is a constitutional provision. What else? When the delegation relates merely to administrative implementation that may call for some degree of the discretionary powers under a set of sufficient standards expressed by law or implied from the policy and purpose of the act. So, pero actually, hindi talaga siya delegation. Kumbaga, what is delegated is that how you implement, parang administrative implementation. If the issuance is merely for administrative implementation, then that is allowed, provided it is within the limits, no, or the standards set forth in the law passed by the Congress. So, yun ang mga instances wherein the power of taxation is delegated. So, just take note of them. And of course, taxation power is subject to constitutional and inherent limitations. Sabi natin kanina, since taxation power is an inherent power of sovereignty, there is no need for a constitutional grant, no? Hindi kailangan ng express provision sa Constitution. However, in order not to abuse such power, the Constitution provides for limitations. Meron tayong limitations sa Constitution. And we will discuss the constitutional and inherent limitations in our next meeting. Let's proceed. Characteristics of the taxing power. So, the taxing power is comprehensive, supreme, unlimited, and plenary. No? Some commentaries say na, or may mga theory in taxation that says taxation power daw is the power to destroy. Meron din nagsabi taxation is not a power to destroy for as long as the court sits. Parang ganon. So actually, yung taxation power is very comprehensive, supreme, unlimited, and plenary, such that the Congress can identify types, any type, kind, property, person, whatever na pwede nilang isubject sa tax for as long as it will not run against the constitutional and inherent limitations. Yan lang naman ang ibig sabihin ng mga characteristics na to. They can tax at anything at any time. No? So, in the news, meron tayong nabalitaan na maraming mga congressman na they are pushing for the abolition of estate tax. So, sabi nila na yung estate tax daw is nagpapahirap daw lalo na sa mga mahihirap. Ganon. So, gusto lang tanggalin. But they should remember that they should go back to the main reason why estate tax is imposed by the government. Ang reason talaga ng estate tax is in order to distribute wealth. Meaning, kung malaki yung estate mo or ng isang person, malaki yung assets nila, real properties nila, personal or real, tangible or intangible, whatever. Kumbaga yung government will take a portion of it in order to share it to all other citizens para ma-distribute yung wealth. Hindi siya ma-focused sa isang family lang. So, yan basically yung purpose ng estate tax. Hindi to impose burden to the poor, no? Kaya nga, in taxation, we have this principle na progressive, no? Progressive tayo, meaning to say, the higher the value of your gross estate, the higher your liability to contribute. That's ability to pay theory, di ba? Kung mas malaki yung assets mo, mas malaki yung i-contribute mo. Kung mas maliit yung assets mo, maliit din yung i-contribute mo. Progressive siya. In order to apply equality, no? Or equity, no? Para parang equal protection, parang ganon. So for me, there is no need to abolish estate tax. Pero siguro, the government may increase the exemption threshold for estate tax. Presently, the exemption threshold of estate tax is at 5 million pesos standard deduction. Meaning to say, kung may asset ka, automatic yan, deduct yung 5 million. Kung yung assets mo hindi aabot ng 5 million, ibig sabihin, you have no tax liability. Zero. So, wala kang babayaran. For family home, kunyari, meron kayong family home means may lupa, bahay at lupa na tinitirhan ninyo spouses, namatay yung isang spouse, pwede yon yung value ng family home, i-deduct din siya from the gross estate up to 10 million pesos. So in total, kung meron kang family home at ibang assets, merong allowable deduction of 15 million from the gross estate. So on the basis of this threshold, you can, ma-analyze nyo na pangmayaman talaga yung taxation, yung estate tax. Kasi kapag yung value ng property mo, so sobra na yan ng 15 million, that's the time that you will be held liable for estate tax, di ba? Plus meron pang mga other allowable deductions from the gross estate, aside from those two that I have mentioned. So, siguro, the Congress may increase that further. Kasi, ang nangyayari din ngayon sa bansa natin, yung BIR, every 3 years, nagre-revalue sila ng real properties. And yung valuation nila ng real properties is very high, no? Taas masyado. So, for example, here in Tagum, yung value ng properties dito sa Tagum, I think sa highway, nasa 16,000 per square meter. Imagine that. If you multiply that for how many square meters yung ownership mo, ang laki ng tax mo, di ba? So, ganun na yung valuation natin dito. Kasi nag-times 3 siya when it was, nag-change yung valuation niya in 2019. Parang nag-times 3 siya. So, yun lang din ang problema. Tumaas nga, because of train law, tumaas nga yung threshold natin for exemption. Kaya lang, tumaas din yung value ng mga real properties natin dito. So therefore, pwedeng pagtuunan ng pansin, increase the threshold para yung mga poor taxpayers, hindi sila magbabayad ng tax. Okay? Just like for my grandmother ko, namatay siya last year, December 5. December 5 ba yun? December 3 rather. Pinases namin within 1 year yung kanyang estate tax. December 3, 2025 yung kanyang deadline. December 3, 2024 siya namatay. 2025 yung deadline. So kaya wala kami nabayaran. 0 yung aming estate tax. Kasi nga, hindi umabot ng 5 million yung value ng kanyang property. So, ganun siya, no? Now, let's go to the characteristics of tax. Number 1, it is an enforced contribution. When we say enforced contribution, sa pilitan. Okay? Kasi kapag hindi ka nagbayad, you will be penalized, no? Liable ka. That's a criminal liability. You will be charged, no, in court for non-payment of tax. Kasi yan ay tinatawag na tax evasion. Proportionate in character, yun ang sabi ko, in order to apply equality or equity in imposing tax, it must be proportionate in character. Now, this is based on the principle of ability to pay theory. Yung theory na ability to pay. Kung maliit yung sweldo mo, mas maliit yung tax na babayaran mo. Pwedeng wala kang bayaran, pwedeng maliit lang. With respect to minimum wage earners, for example, sabi ng batas, if you are a minimum wage earner, wala kang babayaran na wala kang babayaran na income tax kasi nga minimum wage earner ka. That's proportionate in character, yung ibig sabihin niya. Kung malaki yung income mo, malaki din yung babayaran mo na tax, okay? Levied for public purpose. Of course, no? This is self-explanatory. No, we cannot impose tax for private purpose. So revenues derived from taxes cannot be used for purely private purposes or for the exclusive benefit of private persons. Merong isang case, no, na even the Supreme Court said na even if it benefits a group of people, if the nature is not for public purpose, the fact na maraming naka-benefit dyan sa isang grupo doesn't make it levied for public purpose. It doesn't comply with the requirement that it must be levied for public purpose. So, yun siya. Kapag sinasabi nating levied for public purpose, it must be uniformly applied. Hindi lang for certain territory, hindi lang for certain island. Yung Pilipinas, 3 yung natin, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Hindi pwedeng mag-impose ka ng tax tapos gagamitin mo lang sa Luzon. Hindi pwedeng ganun. Dapat uniform yan sa buong bansa. Okay? Kung mag-impose ka ng tax, hindi pwede sa Mindanao lang, tapos ang benefit, punta mo lang sa Luzon, hindi pwedeng ganon. Okay? So, kaya, importante, no? In levying taxes, it must be for public purpose. Generally payable in the form of money. So, bawal po yung hindi pera. Okay? So, pero pwedeng cheque, no? Check. Kaya lang, meron silang requirement yung BIR for checks, no? Like, kailangan manager's check or whatever, no? So, ganon. Personal to the taxpayer, you cannot transfer your liability to pay tax, no? Hindi mo pwedeng i-assign, no? Hindi mo pwedeng ipasa yung utang mo sa gobyerno for the payment of tax because that is personal to the taxpayer. It is levied on persons. So, pwede tao yung subject ng tax. Levied on property. That's why we have property tax, real property tax. Levied on rights. Example, yung mga royalties, di ba? Meron tayong passive income tax dyan, no? Dividends, no? Acts, privileges. Privileges, example, if you are a professional, meaning you have the license to practice your profession, that's a privilege. Dahil meron kang privilege to practice your profession, nag-i-impose yung government ng professional tax. May mga ganun. Or transactions, no? Like sale of real property. Nagbenta ka ngayon ng property, isa-subject siya sa tax. So, pwede siyang isubject kahit ano dyan. Kaya nga, unlimited, plenary, comprehensive, supreme, di ba? Kasi kahit anong subject pwede mong i-tax provided hindi siya nag-run counter sa constitutional and inherent limitations, di ba? Levied by the state which has jurisdiction or control over the subject to be taxed. So, this refers to the principle of territoriality. Yung taxation power ng state is territorial in nature, meaning to say, you cannot tax subjects that are outside your territory. Example, foreigners. Kung hindi naman pumunta yung foreigner sa Pilipinas, wala siyang negosyo dito, wala siyang transaction dito, hindi ka pwedeng extend ng implementation doon sa ibang bansa. Magagalit yung ibang bansa niyan. You are encroaching, no, their foreign policy, their foreign power, di ba? So you cannot do that. So the state can only impose taxes within its territorial jurisdiction. Exception to that is if the tax, no, is imposed upon citizens of the Philippines. Example ko ha, yung estate tax. Yung estate tax class, hindi lang lupa dito sa Pilipinas tinatax. Kung ikaw ay Pinoy tsaka resident citizen ka, Filipino resident citizen, lahat ng assets mo, lahat ng estate mo, mapa dito sa Pilipinas hanggang sa ibang bansa, kasali yan sa estate tax. Because you are a Filipino resident citizen. Okay? So, yan yung exception natin, di ba? Kasi, ang explanation natin dyan, may control yung government sa'yo kasi you are a Filipino who is a resident citizen, di ba? But if you are a foreigner, ibang usapan. Kasi hindi ka naman citizen ng Pilipinas, so yung assets mo outside the Philippines will not be subject to estate tax. Okay? So, doon na yan i-discuss sa estate tax. Okay? Levied by the lawmaking body of the state, there is no need to further explain this, no? Na-explain natin kanina. Part of the nature of taxation power. Now, we go to the principles of a sound tax system. Fiscal adequacy. The sources of tax revenue should coincide with and approximate the needs of government expenditures. So, yung kabaliktaran ng fiscal adequacy is deficit, di ba? Deficit. The revenue should be elastic or capable of expanding or contracting annually in response to variations in public expenditures. So, dapat yung sources natin of tax revenue, dapat adequate siya to meet the needs of our government, no, in running the government, di ba? Administrative feasibility. Tax law should be capable of convenient, just, and effective administration. This means that the tax law should be capable, just, and effective administration, as well as easy compliance by the taxpayer. So dapat dali lang, no? Madali lang siya i-comply ng taxpayers. Pero sa setting natin ngayon sa Philippines, usually yung nagbabayad ng tax is yung mga accounting firms. So meaning to say, hindi siya madali. Unless na lang, so hindi siya ganun ka, no? Kasi yung iba is yung nagbabayad is yung mga firms, yung mga accounting firms. Lalo na for sole proprietorship, di ba? Kung wala silang accounting office or separate division for accounting, so nag-outsource sila in order for the payment of their taxes. No? Pero there are parang mga bagong system naman yung government natin, like online payment, merong ganun na, no, for the payment of taxes. Kasi we cannot achieve fiscal adequacy without providing a convenient process, no, for our taxpayer to pay their taxes. Paano tayo makakolekta ng marami para ma-meet natin yung needs ng government kung hindi madali yung way of paying the taxes? Kaya importante yung administrative feasibility in order for us to have a sound tax system. Kasi kung mahirap yung compliance ng mga taxpayers natin, mahihirapan yung government to collect taxes. Okay, last principle is theoretical justice or equality. Paulit-ulit na ito, class, no? The tax burden should be in proportion to the taxpayer's ability to pay. This is the so-called ability to pay principle. So, now let's go to the requisites of a valid tax. Number one, it must be for a public purpose, as explained earlier. It must be uniform, no? Walang pili-pili, okay? Applicable sa lahat, no? Principle of equal protection, di ba? Meaning, it applies to all persons similarly situated. O, yan ang ibig sabihin ng uniform and equitable. The personal property tax is within the jurisdiction of the taxing authority. Assessment and collection is in consonance with the due process clause. Okay? And the tax must not infringe on the inherent and constitutional limitations of the power of taxation. Okay? Now, let's go further. Direct and indirect tax. So what is a direct tax? These are taxes that are exacted from the very person who it is intended or desired should pay them. So, sa madaling salita, when we say direct tax, ito ay ini-impose sa person who is directly liable to pay it. Parang ganun lang. Kung sino yung directly liable to pay, kung sa kanya ka naningil ng tax, yung person na talagang directly liable or primarily liable, then ang tawag natin sa tax is direct tax. Yung kumbaga wala nang pasikot-sikot, wala nang ibang pupuntahan. Indirect tax, on the other hand, refers to those that are demanded in the first instance from or are paid by one person in the expectation and intention that he can shift the burden to someone else. Kumbaga, merong magbabayad una, pero pwede niyang ipasa yung burden to the next taxpayer. So, in the chain of transactions. So, examples. For direct tax, example niyan is income tax. Yung income tax class, kunyari, compensation, sweldo. Meron kang sweldo. Hindi mo man pwede na transfer yung income tax na inimpose sa'yo, i-transfer mo sa kasamahan mo. Hindi pwede yun. Hindi mo na yan matransfer. Ikaw yung ultimate talaga na magbayad ng income tax. Estate tax. O yan. Hindi mo din yan pwedeng i-transfer kahit kanino. Kung sino yung nagmana ng ari-arian ng kanyang mga magulang na namatay, siya din talaga yung magbabayad ng estate tax. Hindi niya pwedeng ipasa yan, kunyari, ibenta niya later on, hindi niya pwedeng ipasa sa kanyang buyer. Kasi hindi siya indirect eh. Hindi mo ma-shift yung burden. Donor's tax. O ito, kung nag-donate ka ng property, so, yung tax na i-impose dyan, yung donor talaga, di ba? Ang liable. So, yun ang direct tax. Hindi mo pwedeng i-shift yung burden of payment of tax. Now, indirect tax naman, examples, VAT, value-added tax. So, ano itong value-added tax class? Actually, kilala nyo yan, si VAT. No? Kahit saan kayo pumunta, mapa sa mall, mag-travel ba kayo ngayon? Kahit saan? Kahit sa ibang bansa? Meron tayong binabayaran na value-added tax sa mga kinakain nyo, di ba? VAT. So, yan yung kumbaga, that is a tax imposed on business transactions. No? Kunyari, negosyante ka, may negosyo ka, tapos under the law, required ka na mag-register as a value-added tax payer, then required ka magbayad ng VAT. Pero yung VAT na binabayad mo sa government, pwede mong ipasa sa kliyente mo or sa consumer mo. Example, mall. Yung mall, nag-impose yan sila ng VAT, nagbabayad din sila ng VAT sa government. Pansinin niyo yung mga resibo niyo, may VAT yan. So, ibig sabihin, pagbili mo sa mall, na-shift na ngayon yung burden ng payment ng VAT from the mall to the consumer or to the ang tawag, o consumer nga, di ba? Yung bumili or buyer. Kasi kasali sa binabayaran natin yung VAT, okay? Excise tax, example, yung ating mga fuel, petroleum. Yung mga gasolina natin, kasali dyan VAT din. Excise tax. VAT at excise tax, no? Parehas. Pwede, di ba? Other percentage tax, no? So, kung hindi ka subject sa VAT, percentage tax ka. So, medyo complicated siya. Hindi ko na i-complicate. Basta example yan ng indirect tax. Basta yung concept natin ng indirect tax, na-shift yung burden of payment of tax. So, okay? Now, let's proceed to the next topic, double taxation. Ayan. So, sa double taxation, meron tayong dalawang types. We have direct double taxation and indirect double taxation. Pag sinasabing direct double taxation, sometimes they call this double taxation in its strict sense. Parang ganon. The taxpayer is taxed twice by the same taxing authority within the same jurisdiction for the same property and purpose. So, kumbaga, yung isa lang na taxpayer, same taxpayer, dalawang beses siya na-taxed by the same taxing authority within the same jurisdiction for the same property and purpose. So, sabi ng batas, kapag direct double taxation, this is prohibited. Ayan, hindi pwede, sabi ng batas. Pero pag indirect double taxation, or sinasabing broad sense, extends to all cases in which there is a burden of two or more impositions. Pero, it is not necessarily prohibited. Why? Because it did not comply with the requisites of direct double taxation. Kung hindi siya, parang it appears lang na parang double taxation siya, pero hindi niya na-comply yung requisites of direct double taxation. Therefore, permissible siya. Permissible yung indirect double taxation. Okay? Yan. So, what are the requisites of double taxation? Same taxpayer requirement, meaning to say, dapat same individual or entity, same taxpayer, same corporation, is taxed more than once for the same income or property. Tapos yung subject matter ng tax is similar lang din. Okay? Same taxing authority. Both taxes must be imposed by the same authority or jurisdiction for a situation to count as double taxation. Same income or transaction. So the same income, property, or transaction must be taxed for the same period and purpose by both authorities. Now let's have an example. KM Corporation doing business in the city of Caloocan has been a distributor and retailer of clothing and household materials. It has been paying the city of Caloocan local taxes based on Section 15, tax on wholesalers, distributors, or dealers, and 17, tax on retailers of the Revenue Code of Caloocan City Code. So, itong Revenue Code ng Caloocan City, sa local lang yan siya. No? So, kumbaga, yung kanilang sagunian, nagpasa sila ng Revenue Code. Kasi nga sabi natin, di ba, local government units have the power of, can exercise the power of taxation through a delegated authority coming from the Constitution. So, yan. So, pwedeng gumawa ng revenue code yung mga local government units. So, meron ding mga basis yan, no? Under the local government code, no? Nasa code yan. Yung mga, ano yung mga taxes na pwedeng i-impose ng mga local government units. Subsequently, the Sangguniang Panglungsod enacted an ordinance amending the code. So, inamend nila yung revenue code by inserting Section 21, which imposes a tax on business subject to excise, value added, and percentage taxes under the NIRC. Kumbaga, kinopya nila yung tax under the NIRC. Sabi nila, lahat daw ng mga negosyo that are subject to excise, VAT, and percentage tax, merong tax na babayaran sa local government at the rate of 50% of 1% per annum on the gross sales receipts on persons who sell goods and services in the course of trade or business. So ngayon, KM Corporation, nagreklamo siya, suko siya. Sabi niya, kinwestiyon niya, it paid the taxes under protest. Kasi sa local government class, hindi ka pwedeng mag-protest na hindi mo binayaran yung tax. Bayaran mo muna bago ka mag-protest. Claiming, ano yung grounds niya? That the local government units could not impose a tax on businesses already taxed under the NIRC. Sabi niya, ba't ka kopya-kopya sa NIRC? Tax na, nagbabayad na kami sa national government, tapos magbabayad kami ulit dito sa local government. Parang ganun. Letter B, this would amount to double taxation since its business was already taxed under sections 15 and 17 of the code. Sabi niya, meron ng sales tax under section 15 and section 17. Kumbaga, the tax under section 21 is a repetition of section 15 and 17. Therefore, it amounts to double taxation. Ngayon, the issue is, does the imposition of a tax on business already subject to tax under the NIRC amount to double taxation? So the Supreme Court held, yes. No? Yes daw. Alamin natin bakit yes yung sagot. Double taxation means taxing the same property twice when it should be taxed only once. That is, taxing the same property twice by the same jurisdiction for the same thing. It is obnoxious when the taxpayer is taxed twice when it should be only once. In double taxation, which is otherwise described as direct duplicate taxation, the two taxes must be imposed on the same subject matter. So, ano yung subject matter natin dito? Business, revenue, no? Sales, kumbaga. For the same purpose, by the same taxing authority. So, malaman natin later, no? Within the same jurisdiction, during the same taxing period, and the taxes must be of the same kind or character. So, in answering the question, you should examine the elements, the requisites of double taxation. So, using the aforementioned test, there is indeed double taxation. Since KM Corporation is subjected to the taxes under Section 15, tax on wholesalers, distributors, or dealers, 17, tax on retailers, And 21, tax on businesses subject to excise, VAT, and percentage tax of the Revenue Code of Caloocan City. These taxes are being imposed, number 1, on the same subject matter, that is the privilege of doing business in Caloocan City. Kasi nga, etong mga taxes na to, this is imposed on businessmen, yung mga nag-conduct ng business. So, same yung subject matter niya. So, the privilege of doing business. Same yung purpose, to make persons conducting business within Caloocan City contribute to city revenues by the same taxing authority. The same yung taxing authority, yung Caloocan City, kasi nga yung nag-impose ng Section 21 is the Sanggunian of Caloocan City. Within the same taxing jurisdiction, okay? Within the territorial jurisdiction of Caloocan City. For the same taxing periods, so hindi sinabi no sa case, pero let's sabi niya dito per calendar year kasi this is coming from an actual case, no? And of the same kind or character, it is local business tax, no? It is a local business tax imposed on gross sales or receipts of the business. Okay, so there is direct double taxation here, okay? Now, escape from taxation. So, paano ba tayo makaka-escape from taxation? Pwede ba yun? Is it valid? So, actually, there are ways, no? There are ways to escape or to reduce our liability for taxation. Number 1 there is you can shift the burden, just like VAT, excise, and percentage tax. Pwede mong i-shift yung burden kung yung tax na binabayaran natin is an indirect tax. But if it is a direct tax, you cannot shift it. Okay? So, hindi ka maka-escape. Pero kung indirect, pwede mong i-shift yung burden. Meron tayong tinatawag din na tax avoidance, no? There are parang taxes na pwede mong ma-avoid. Example, yung income tax, no, on corporations, for example. Merong way para yung corporation, mababa lang yung babayaran niya na income tax. But hindi siya necessarily illegal. Example, mag-donate sila. Meron provision sa NIRC that if you donate to the national government or to local government units, 100% yan exempted from taxation. So, the amount donated, the value of the donation will be considered or allowed as a deductible expense from the gross income. So, pwede mong i-deduct yan doon sa income mo or sa revenues mo para mabawasan yung tax base natin, yung income tax base that will eventually be subjected to the tax rate imposed by the law. So, I hope that is clear. Now, there are certain ways, no? Just like what I said, na yung corporation pwede siyang mag-donate sa government or charitable institutions or to local government para sigurado tayo na 100% deductible expense. So, i-deduct natin siya sa ating gross income para mababawasan yung taxable base natin, bababa yung ating income tax liability. That is a form of tax avoidance. Okay? However, meron tayong another way of escaping from taxation. We call this tax evasion. Pero this is illegal. Illegal po ito. Because tax evasion is a scheme used outside of those lawful means. And when availed of, it usually subjects the taxpayer to further or additional civil or criminal liability. So, hindi pwede. Anong example ng tax evasion? Yung under declaration. No, if you do under declaration, example, yung revenue mo supposedly 10 million, tapos yung dineclare mo lang 5 million. So, you committed tax evasion because nag-under declare ka. Or over declaring your expenses. Tax evasion din yan. For as long as you defraud the government, no, by ways, no, means of defrauding the government, then that constitutes tax evasion. So therefore, you will be liable, civil or criminally. If there is bad faith, evil, willful, or deliberate, and not accidental intent, no, to defraud the government. Okay? And meron ding exemptions. No, you can avail of tax exemptions provided for under the law. Pero, class, when you say tax exemption, yung rule talaga natin, no, in construing tax exemptions, sabi ng batas, it is generally construed against the taxpayer. Therefore, the taxpayer has the burden of proving that he or she is exempted from tax. So, kailangan niya mag-provide ng proof or certifications ba ngayon para ma-prove niya na exempted siya. There is one example, yung mga cooperatives. Yung mga cooperatives, dati, hindi automatic yung kanilang exemption sa BIR. No? So, kaya kapag hindi pa nila nakuha yung kanilang certificate of tax exemption, hindi talaga magbabayad talaga sila ng tax. Which, for me, I find to be contrary to law, sabi ko. Kasi meron akong client before na cooperative, pinagbayad sila na taxes over the years. Tapos, ang tagal mag-issue ng BIR ng Certificate of Tax Exemption. Parang naging hostage yung kanilang, na-hostage yung kanilang tax exemption certificate. So, hindi naman yung kasalanan ng mga kooperatiba. And the law, there is a law, no, a special law that grants exemption from cooperative. Supposedly, dapat automatic yun. If dapat ang ipakita mo lang is you are registered with the Cooperative Development Authority. Yun lang dapat ang requirement. Hindi pwedeng magkuha pa ng Certificate of Tax Exemption sa BIR. Because you are adding additional requirement that is not provided for under the law. So, parang nag-add itong BIR. Ewan ko kung nabago na yan ngayon. No? Hindi ako updated, no, sa kanila. Pero, that should be declared contrary, no, to the law, no? Kasi ano lang yan eh, yung BIR, administrative lang yan sila. Hindi yan sila Congress, no? That they can impose additional requirement. Okay? Ano pa bang mga ibang escape from taxation? Meron tayong tax amnesty, no? Just like the estate tax amnesty that was declared, no, by the Congress, no? Parang bago lang yan. In-extend ulit nila. So, pwede tayong mag-avail ng tax amnesty. Ano pa? Tax treaties, mga exemptions from tax treaties. So, yun ang mga examples, no, of escapes from taxation. Okay. Okay, no? So, let's have a 10-minute break, no? Para, for our next topic. So, for now, that ends, no? The first part, no, of our discussion for tonight.